Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show, Lemon Live at 5. Thank you so much for joining. We are happy that you're here. Of course, you know the first order of business is hit the like, hit the thumbs up, because it does affect the algorithm. More people become aware of our conversation and our channel, and that's just how the algorithm works. That is just what they tell us. Now, so I appreciate that. Also, let me know where you are streaming from. It is a beautiful Friday evening where I am. I'm not sure how it is where you are. Hi, Metallic Muse. Hi, Metallic Muse. So hi, everyone. Let me know. Oh, Indiana. I thought you said India. Hello, Indiana. We'll take Indiana. Durham, North Carolina. We'll take that. Driving in Southwest New Jersey. Okay, be careful. Eyes on the road. 10 and 2. 10 and 2, okay? So, hello, Alberta. Hello, Austin, Baltimore, Chicago. Do we have Australia? Is there Australia in the house? I would like to get someone from New Zealand. Has anybody seen anyone from New Zealand in the house? I would like to. Let's see. Someplace really far off. Okay. If you see that, producers, in the chat, put it in there. Also, move the mic a little bit closer. Put it in the top of the chat so that you can, someone said the Kiwis here. Put in the top of the chat, the pin that thing, make sure they hit the like and the thumbs up. Okay, so I just want to read off because before we get to everything, the importance of what's going on now, I'll read to you what we know, and then I'll give you the breaking news, the developing news, because this is the really important part, is that now it is 13, right? I think it says at 13 because my notes say 11. 13 U.S. service members that have now died from this war, this catastrophe that's happening over in Iran. 13 U.S. service members killed, 140 wounded. And just last night, all six of the crew members who were on board or who are actually doing this military fueling operation on a military refueling plane, it crashed in Iraq while taking part in Iran war operations, and that's according to the U.S. military. 1,270 people killed in Iran and at least 486 in Lebanon. And then UNICEF reports that 1,100 children so far have been killed or wounded across the region. The supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, of course, assassinated on February 28th. His son, Mujtaba, has since been elected as his successor. This is costing a lot. First 6 days have cost us about $11.3 billion, 5.6 in munitions used in the first 2 days alone. And then the economic impact is just, you guys don't even want to hear it. Oil prices have spiked above $100 a barrel. So it is nuts. It has been a little crazy today. And now we have new information about the possibility, not the possibility, but they are sending troops there. The Pentagon, let's put this up, Andy, it's from the Wall Street Journal. The Pentagon is moving additional Marines warships to Iran. Let's read a little bit from it because they are talking about the assets that are being moved there. The Pentagon is moving additional Marines and warships in the Middle East as Iran steps up its attacks on the Strait of Hormuz, according to U.S. officials. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has approved a request from U.S. Central Command responsible for American forces in the Middle East for an element of an amphibious ready group and attached Marine expeditionary unit, typically consisting of several warships and 5,000 Marines and sailors, the officials said. So that's where we are. And if this is happening, this is a drastic move, and it is an indication that this war is not going to be over in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or possibly even months if you're sending that many assets and artillery. And boots on the ground. That means the death toll is going to rise. That means the cost of everything is going to go up. Jennifer Griffin is tweeting. Jennifer Griffin is at Fox News, I believe, right? Jennifer Griffin is tweeting this, saying the U.S. defense officials confirmed to Fox News that the Pentagon is sending the USS Tripoli, a Marine amphibious ready group, and the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, MEU, to the Mideast. The Tripoli is stationed out of Japan and would take about 2 weeks to get to the Mideast. So if it takes 2 weeks, that means it's got to get there. It's got to get set. And then whatever they're going to do is going to be beyond that. So we're in it for at least 2 weeks if this all plays out. This war is ending no time soon, Rosie Stansell. I don't know about that. It depends on how bad the poll numbers get. It depends on how bad the poll numbers get. Accompanying the ARG and the MEU are approximately 2,500 U.S. Marines, first reported by Laura Seligman at the Wall Street Journal. And for what? Still no rationale, no real thing for what is going on. And Donald Trump is speaking about it today in an unhinged interview. And really, if there is any indication that there's some cognitive decline going on, it's in this interview that he did with Brian Kilmeade. Because Trump is saying he's not only is he lying about the schools, he is saying that he's lying about the Tomahawk missiles and when he's going to end the war. Now, you guys, do we have Caroline Levitt with the feeling based on a fact soundbite, Andy?
No,
because Caroline Levitt said it was a feeling based on a fact is why we went to war with Iran, and it is a war. Don't let them fool you by saying it's not a war. But she said the president went to war because he it was a feeling based on the fact. And this is what Donald Trump is saying now. He's saying, when asked, when are you going to get out of this? He said, when I feel it in my bones. Here it is.
I'm doing something about it. And I had to take an excursion. We had the greatest economy in history. We still do. Oh, this will bounce right back. When it's over, and I don't think it's going to be long, when it's over, this is going to bounce right back so fast.
When are you going to know when it's over?
When I feel it.
Okay.
I feel it in my bones.
Will you ask anybody in particular? Would that be some of these a joint decision?
Well, I deal with people. I have great people.
I have great people. But then what about him saying this is better than the general? He knows better than the generals. You guys remember that? He knows better than the generals. This is what Caroline Levitt said. And this is based on some stupidity. You don't go to war based on a feeling. You don't get out of war when you feel it in your bones. You know what that says to me? That says to me that this is Epstein. He has Epstein distraction syndrome. That's what it says to me. Now, this is the White House flack. Watch.
The president had a feeling, again, based on fact, that Iran was going to strike the United States, was going to strike our assets in the region, and he made a determination to launch Operation Epic Fury based on all of those reasons.
What the fuck is a feeling based on a fact? What about the president went to war due to the fact that our intelligence shows an imminent threat? Here is the evidence. There is no evidence. There's no intelligence that shows any of that. And they know it. And Donald Trump is lying about, when asked about this question, this was Sean McCreesh, asking about his questions about the school strike on the plane. Watch this.
President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
He's willing to live with that report. Now, Donald Trump was asked today by Brian Kilmeade, again, if there's any indication of cognitive decline, this could be it right here. But Donald Trump was asked about the Tomahawk missiles as it relates to the girls' schools. This is what he said today.
And I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, you know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some tomahawks, they wish they had more. But whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries.
Look, nobody has the technology or the weapons that we have, and the Patriots are an example of it. We have the tomahawks. We have the Patriots. We have stuff that nobody's ever been able to produce, and they can't produce it like us.
I mean, that wasn't the one I want, but that was the point I was making. I wanted the one where he was saying it so I could bring in the one about and then show him what he's saying today. So that's what he had been saying. That's what he said today. It is very generic. Other people have it. And then previously, he's saying no one else has what America has. So what is it? It shows he is lying. Donald Trump is a liar. I don't need to explain that to you guys. You guys know. The only people who don't know is the cult who follows him, or the people who are around him. And, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. My mom may not like this. My mom said to me just last night, when we were talking on the phone, just checking up on her. And she said, Don, those people know this man's lying. They know he's lying. And she said, and they know he's not all there. And I said, Mom, you really think so? She said, yes. And the more I started to think about it, the more I think Mom is right. They know, but it keeps them in power. And he's a useful idiot because he is a cult leader. I'll give him that. He can co-opt people and twist reality for some people, and they believe him. But I think that it's right. They know. And so that's why they're doing it, for the money, for the racism, for the misogyny, for all of the above, the climate change denial, the insurrection denying, the election denying, all of it. That's why, the white supremacy. And religious nationalism, for all of the above. Donald Trump, again, is this one where he's lying about the school strike that's on the plane. He's lying about the school strike on the plane. That's what he said initially in that soundbite. Is that the one, right? It was the first part of the soundbite that you played? Andy,
that wasn't on the plane, but it was the same sentiment.
Oh, okay. All right. So lying about it on the plane, the same sentiment. I just want to hear how badly he lies about it.
Mr. President, did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
In my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
We think it was done. We think it was done by Iran because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
Okay. I'm going to bring in, I didn't even know he was here. I hear he's in the green room. Let's bring in Jolly Good Ginger. He helms the Jolly Good Ginger show on YouTube, the Jolly Good Ginger YouTube channel, and is a Washington correspondent for the Don Lemon Show. Jolly, good evening to you. When you hear the president, as a service member, as a veteran, when you hear the president lying or whatever he is, I don't know what he's saying about the Tomahawk missiles. I believe that interview today with Brian Kilmeade was an indication of something is going on with him. But when you hear him lying to the American people like that, as someone who served and sacrificed and put your life on the line, what do you think? How does that make you feel?
I mean, listen, I've been pretty emotionally at my max ever since Trump's war in Iran started. And that's exactly how I'm always going to refer to it, as Trump's war. I was in Iraq, and I remember, when I kind of came to the epiphany that we were lied to get us to Iraq. But you remember, Don, and pretty much I'm sure everybody in your chat remembers, we all remember how they got us into Iraq. It was this very elaborate lie that they spent a lot of time catering. And they at least put the effort into it to go before the United Nations, to bring evidence, to have Colin Powell and Donald Rumsfeld up there speaking. And it was pretty elaborate, but it was all a lie. And at the end of the day, we learned that those people who were making the ultimate decisions knew it wasn't accurate information when they made the decision, that being George Bush, that being, the Secretary of Defense, and even Dick Cheney, who was deeply involved in this decision. So we knew it was a lie. So I'm telling you, as a soldier, firsthand, who was in the combat zone, watching people die, watching, family members waiting for the family that's never going to return, seeing that happen, and then recognizing that it was behind a lie, it is an incredibly difficult thing to process. So now you juxtapose that with Iran right now. It's 100 times worse. It's a very poorly created lie. It's not even a very well told lie. They change their lie every couple of days. For all intents and purposes, they actually haven't even said anything. If you really break down what they've said, it's been tantamount to nothing. We listen to the senators that go into these classified briefings. I just had an interview yesterday with Senator Chris Murphy, who was in one of the classified briefings. The day before that, I had an interview with the senior ranking Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Mark Warner out of Virginia. And you talk to these guys and they say, hey, we got a classified briefing where they laid out for us what their reason and strategy is in Iran. And when they were done talking, we realized they have no reason and they have no strategy. So when you and I feel that way, Don, watching it from the outside looking in, and then you talk to the people from the inside and realize they agree with you, then I can easily believe that we were lied to get into Iran. But it wasn't even a good lie, because I watched us get lied to go to Iraq. It is infuriating. Listen, at the top of this program, you announced the death of 13 service members. And I appreciate you leading your broadcast off with that, because you know who didn't lead with that when they gave a press briefing? Donald
Pete
Trump.
Hegseth and Pete Hegseth this morning. Do you remember when he talked about the media and all that stuff? But go on. Sorry.
I was going to refer to his briefing a couple of days ago where he didn't lead off with it either, but you're right. Even today, he didn't lead off with it. And I just want anybody watching this broadcast right now, I want you to do an exercise with me. I want you to truly, I want you to try this. I want you to close your eyes and imagine you get a knock at the door. You open the door, and there's two uniformed service members standing there in full dress uniform, and they're holding a folded flag. And they say to you, sir, ma'am, Staff Sergeant John Smith, Specialist Jessica Smith, we regret to inform you was killed in action yesterday. And we want to give you this flag on behalf of a grateful nation for their service to a country that will never be forgotten. And then the memorial service that follows, and then the adjusting to life without your loved one that follows. And 13 people got that knock at the door. 13 people. And there's 100 or so more injured. And now we're sending the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, what's called a MU, 31st MU out there. And I said this earlier on my page. When you send the Marines, you send a message. Marines are war fighters. You ask any Marine what's your job, they'll tell you they're a rifleman first. And that means, like you said, Don, this war is not going to be over anytime soon. That means more people are going to get that knock at the door. That means more young lives will be cut down early. And when I ask the simple question, when you ask the simple question, when the American people ask the simple question, why, the answer we continually get is an empty answer that ultimately leads to a lie. And it should piss you off, veteran or not. It's deeply personal to me. But whether you're a veteran or not, it should piss you off that we are literally allowing people to die behind this lie.
And Jolly, thank you for your service, and thank you. I mean, painting a very vivid portrait of what happens, because that's exactly the way it does happen. And I think it's a perfect time now to bring in Mr. Tom Nichols, who's a staff writer at The Atlantic and a contributor to the Atlantic Daily newsletter. Thank you for joining us, Tom. Tom, I've been reading your piece, and I think you're 100% right. Tom writes for The Atlantic, Pete Hegseth treats fallen American soldiers as a PR problem. His use of the Iran war dead to attack the media is disgraceful. And also Caroline Levitt did it the other day as well.
Yeah, he did it this morning, starting with why is the media reporting the way it is? And it wasn't off the cuff. Apparently it was in his prepared remarks. And this is his thing now, to come out every morning and sort of gripe at the media, which is not what you do if you think things are going well. Let's put it that way. It's hard to get, I don't know, maybe the war is going better than we think. Certainly operationally, I've written that it looks like it's being done with a high degree of operational excellence. But if you think you're getting somewhere and you actually think things are going well, you don't start every morning by griping at the media and sort of trying to brush aside some of the terrible news. I'm old enough to have seen America in previous wars. I worked in Washington during one of those wars. And, it's a big change from the people who come out and say, good morning. Here's, where we are. These are the casualties we've had. This is where we've progressed to. This is what we're trying to do. Instead, it becomes, General Kane quietly acknowledging the dead and trying to talk through the day's events, and Hegseth, still acting like he's still on Fox and Friends.
I can't get over Pete Hegseth this morning, as you said. And since you're here, and Jolly hasn't reacted, and you, Tom, either. But I think this soundbite this morning, I was getting ready, and honestly, brushing my teeth as I was watching it, and I almost just spit the toothpaste out when he said this. And this is him chastising the media and rewriting media headlines. Here it is.
They're confused, and we know it. Our response: we will keep pressing. We will keep pushing, keep advancing. No quarter, no mercy for our enemies. Yet some in this crew, in the press, just can't stop. Allow me to make a few suggestions. People look up at the TV and they see banners, they see headlines. I used to be in that business, and I know that everything is written intentionally. For example, a banner or a headline: Mideast war intensifies, splashing on the screen the last couple of days, alongside visuals of civilian or energy targets that Iran has hit, because that's what they do. What should the banner read instead? How about Iran increasingly desperate? Because they are. They know it, and so do you, if it can be admitted. Or more fake news from CNN. Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course. For decades, Iran has threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is always what they do: hold the strait hostage. CNN doesn't think we thought of that. It's a fundamentally unserious report. The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better.
Oh, my God. Don, you're muted, brother.
Yeah.
I had to because there's so much in there, Tom. I had to mute it because I didn't want to interrupt the thing. But I mean, wow.
Well, he just told himself, first of all, when he says, I used to be in that business and everything's written for a reason. Thank you for Pete. Thank you for admitting that you are delivering this message on Iran in a deliberate way to make it be worded the way you want it. What I see the press.
That's what Fox News did. That's what.
Yeah,
Fox
right,
News
exactly.
Did. Yeah.
But what I see when I see a report come out that say things aren't going that well in Iran, it's because they aren't. And you want us to say Iran? What do you say? Iran appears desperate or whatever it is. Here's the fact, and Tom just said that from all reports he's heard, there's a lot of operational efficiency. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who've been tasked to carry out whatever objective it is carrying that objective out with the best efficiency. We're a very highly trained military. I was in that military. I know the training is good, and I know that we know how to execute our jobs. But here's the thing. The people that are pointing them in this direction, that direction, are not doing it well. You can operate as well as you want, but the results of that will be what does Iran do? What does Saudi Arabia do? What is the UAE? What do all these other countries do in response to our operational efficiency? Mm-hmm. And what we're seeing is Iran not back down. What we're seeing is a response like the Strait of Hormuz being shut down. What we're seeing is other countries saying, hey, if we're going to keep getting bombed, you need to get the hell out of our country. And these are secondary and tertiary effects that they can claim they thought of, and maybe they did think of them, but the fact of the matter is they don't have a solution for them.
I'm certain the military thought of them. The question is, did Trump and the people around him take that seriously? I mean, was the I'm without I'd bet a paycheck that the military around Trump has thought this through and thought about the straits. But was anybody really allowed to say that? This is the problem of. I mean, look, this is a cabinet of people who will wear shoes because he tells them to. These are not people.
Did you see that picture?
And say, Mr. President, this is a bad idea. You have to rethink this, or we have to change course, or do something differently. And Jolly's point is one that I've been trying to make for days now. It's this high operational excellence and efficiency. If it's not linked to a strategy, if it's not linked to goals, then it's just bombing and bombing things really well. But that has to go somewhere. That has to lead to something. And the president has never talked to the American people about this, other than in these little snippets and clips. Online, when the White House puts stuff out, the goals change. I mean, there's been 9, 10 rationales. They kind of dial among them. Today, they went down to 1. Well, we're going to destroy the ballistic missile capability. Okay, is that it now? Is that the goal? And when we've done that, do we know that we're done? You would have thought so, except now we're sending Marines into the region, which, I find it astonishing to believe that Donald Trump will actually commit that final betrayal of the MAGA base by literally putting boots on the ground in Iran, something he swore would never happen, and that we were all warned that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would do. But who knows? I mean, he may tomorrow decide that we're back to regime change.
Well, here's why, Tom. Not to cut you off, but I really want to capture that point you just made. Here's what happened behind those doors. Number one, you're right. People aren't allowed to really speak up too much. But when they do, you got people like Hegseth and others who offer these solutions. See, Hegseth thinks, you know what? If they close the Strait of Hormuz, here's what we'll do. We'll threaten them. We'll bring in a Navy ship. We'll do this. And they did that. And Iran was like, cool story, bro, still closed. Right? So they had this beat their chest bravado solution that was supposed to be the answer to the problems we saw coming. And it turned out not to be the answer. So now you're stuck standing there looking like an idiot. And when you talk about, I apologize, it was something that made me go on this tangent. The last thing you mentioned.
Well, I'll just add that, I don't think they expected to be in this situation 13 days in.
No. Like Greg Stroker said, the hardest part of a 2-week war is that first 20 years. But
never heard that one. That's pretty good.
Yeah. But you were saying that no strategy. Listen. The fact of the matter is they thought they had solutions to problems, and the truth is they convinced Trump, and I'm not trying to give Trump a free pass, but they convinced Trump and they convinced each other that you could do all of this from the air and you can do all of this from the sea. That from air and sea you can do these things. But if you study traditional warfare, if you study what we've learned from battlefields at places like the War College, because by the way, before you pin that full bird rank on in any branch of service, you have to graduate the War College. And there's a reason for that, because these are basic fundamental ideas that officers know that at field grade levels. And one of those is, this isn't going to work. You cannot conduct a campaign from air and sea and achieve the objective that they've laid out. You have to put boots on the ground. There's no way out of it in current warfare to avoid that. And now they're learning that harsh reality that, hey, this elaborate plan that Hegseth and the other highly unqualified people that came up with it put together isn't going to work. And the generals and everybody else who probably already told them, hey, it ain't going to work, are now stuck with, unfucking what they thought.
They're the ones that are going to get stuck with fixing it.
Well, gentlemen, stand by just for a minute because I got to get to this. We've gone on a little long, and I'm enjoying your conversation. I want to tell you guys as well, we've got this is our show this show is for the people who support us, and that's our legends and our members. And so some of our members who are at the highest tier of our membership, they're going to be on in just a bit, and they may have some questions for you guys. But One sentence question, really quick, guys, if we do it, okay? All right, so I need you to do that. But also, thank you very much. We'll see the legends in a moment. But I also want to say this is the administration that took funding away from people, that doesn't really care about, to me, about what happens overseas, and they don't understand that what happens overseas can come to American shores. We'll talk about that. But I want to get this word in because support for the Don Lemon Show comes from MSI United States. And I want to talk about something that honestly should concern all of us. You may have seen the news about the United States pulling back from global programs that support women's reproductive health, like UNFPA or UN Women. That may be really, really hard. It may sound like politics in Washington, but the reality is more human than that. Around the world right now, about 257 million women still don't have access to contraception. They think about that and I want you to think about that in many places. There's no pharmacy nearby, and sometimes women walk hours to the closest clinic only to find out that there's nothing available, or they go to the clinic and then they've run out of everything. So that's why organizations like MSI Reproductive Choices matter so much. MSI operates in 36 countries, running health centers and sending trained midwives directly into villages where there are no doctors and no pharmacies, because they rely less on U.S. government funding, and they're still able to deliver contraception and reproductive health care even as global aid cuts threaten our programs. So the impact is real. $39 can provide contraception for 6 women for an entire year. If you're wondering what real action looks like right now, this is one way to help. Text LEMON to 511-511 or visit msiunitedstates.org. That's msiunitedstates.org, or text LEMON to 511-511 or go to msiunitedstates.org to donate. Text fees may apply. Thank you for that. Also, support for the show today comes from Shopify. Let me paint this picture for you. You're scrolling late at night. You guys know what I'm talking about, just casually browsing, and then suddenly you see that one thing that you have been looking for. And guess what? You go to click on it, you add it to your cart, and maybe grab one more thing, and then the checkout pops up, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then you say, well, I can't do this. Where's my wallet? And then you see that Shop Pay button. One tap and everything is already filled in. Address, payment done, whatever. That's the experience Shopify has built for millions of businesses around the world. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, from huge global brands to people just starting their first online store. And here at the Don Lemon Show, we use Shopify for our own merch. It makes everything simple, from designing your store to managing orders. They've got AI tools to help write product descriptions, create page headlines, and even improve your product photos so that your store looks professional from day one. And Shopify helps you find customers with built-in email marketing and social media tools to help you get your brand in front of the right audience. So if you're ready to sell something online, then you're ready for Shopify. It gives you everything that you need. So start your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/lemon. That's shopify.com/lemon. Thank you to our sponsors. Back now with Mr. Tom Nichols and Jolly Good Ginger. Now, remember, you said, what did you say, Jolly, that the hardest part of a 2-week war are the first 20 years?
The first 20 years, yeah.
Well, Donald Trump is saying...
And Greg Stoker said that.
Yep. Donald Trump said that this is just a little excursion. That's what he's calling this. Here it is.
Let's take a look. We'll take a look at everything, and it's all going to work out. Look, we took an excursion. We had the greatest economy ever. We still do. And we have to do a little excursion to get rid of mad people, crazy people that want to have nuclear weapons. If we didn't do the hit with them, Midnight Hammer, if we didn't have those beautiful B-2 bombers hit them so effectively, and the word is obliterate, and now everybody admits the word is obliterate. In fact, they're not even talking about opening that site. They were talking about going to a new site, if you can believe it.
Tom, you look like you can't stand it. You're shaking your head.
I mean, it's just, I don't... This is the president of the United States. He's the commander in chief. We have a little excursion to get rid of some crazy people. No, we're at war with an entire country of 92 million people. That's not a little excursion. And I think, the idea that neither he nor Hegseth nor anyone in this administration, and particularly the new invisible man, J.D. Vance, can talk to the American people like adults about this. Look, Donald Trump, I am not, and we've all been saying this for two weeks. I'm not shedding any tears over the mullahs. It's not going to break my heart to see the Iranian Navy at the bottom of the sea. Great. But come to the American people, make a case, say, this is why your sons and daughters are being sent into danger. These are the things we hope to achieve. This is how I know when we're going to be done. And instead, it's this kind of, I'm going to call Brian Kilmeade and say, it's the best ever and great economy and no one's ever seen anything like it. And it's the history of the world. It's insulting to democracy. It's insulting to the American people. It's insulting to the military. We're being led by utterly unserious people who I think the military knows what it's doing. As Jolly said, you give them a target, you tell them, you send them on this operational, you define this operation and they'll do it. But we still haven't figured out why we're there, what we're doing, when we're going to be done. And that, to me, is why every day he says, well, we're almost done. They're going to surrender, but now I have to send Marines. Well, we're almost done. They're surrendering today, but now we have to send more ships. Because I think at this point it's just improv, and you don't want to improvise a war with a large country, led by fanatics.
Yeah. Bring in the legends. Hang on 1 second. Legends, get ready. But Jolly, a comment, please, and then I'm going to bring in the legends to ask you guys a couple questions. Go ahead, Jolly.
Well, you said it earlier. Trump truly believes he's the smartest guy in the room, and I think that what Tom just said is spot on in terms of improv. That's what this is right now. It's complete improv. I've been on an excursion before, and you go, you hang out. It's like a vacation in most cases, maybe a short little trip. You have fun. But when 165 girls from a school age 7 to 12 are dead because you shot a missile at them twice, when 13 service members are now coming home dead, that's not an excursion. Maybe he meant incursion. I don't know. I don't think he knows what either one of the words mean. But the point is to belittle what is happening to a little excursion while he's having parties at Mar-a-Lago, while he's doing the little double jerk-off dance at his rally, while he's doing all of this, while people are dying out playing golf, this guy does not care. Nothing. It could not be more evident that he does not care and he does not have a plan.
Tom Nichols, Tom, you got a time crunch, and Tom, I'm going to get one or two questions, but we'll have you out here on time.
I'll stick.
Okay, so let's start with Katie Carrick. You have a question for Tom?
You're muted.
You're muted, Katie.
That was me. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, you're not muted now. You're good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Hi, Tom. Hi, Jolly. Hi. Big fans of both of you. So my question is actually for Jolly. So as a fellow white person who wants to fight the good fight and show people like, hey, I'm here, I'm an ally, and I want to take this asshole and his regime down, what advice do you have for white people who want to show their allies in all of this and we don't want this Trump bullshit?
Be loud, get out, get involved, make sure people are voting. The number one voting demographic for this guy was white people. The number one voting demographic out of white people was non-college educated white people. So it looks like that education is a key factor here too. I think too many people that look like you and me listen to co-workers and family members say completely ignorant stuff and don't correct them on the spot, don't hold their feet to the fire in the interest of just keeping things kosher and not making a tumultuous relationship. I think if more people speak up, I think if the silent majority got loud, because this idea that the majority of this country agrees with what this buffoon is doing is nothing more than fairy tale. There's far more people who disagree with what he's doing. There's far more people that look like me that disagree with what he's doing than there are people who are getting up, getting loud, and doing something about it. So, hey, white people, get up and get outside.
All right. Raul C.
Hi, Don. Hi, Jolly. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
I guess my question is for Jolly. As a veteran and also an activist, I like his call to action, which is get out and do something, right? Because so many times we stay on the internet And similar to the comment Jolly made before, the reason I left the military was because my uncle had just gone to the Army War College. He was a colonel. He was becoming a colonel. And he let me know that this is 2003, that the Afghanistan war was going to be a 15, 20 more years, right? And immediately, my uncle had been in the military for 20, almost 30 years. I decided to not re-enlist, right? So I think that's something that people need to keep in mind. It's not a short excursion. It's not, never mind an excursion. It's not something that's going to last a few days. This is going to be even longer, especially when you're fighting a country like Iran, who has been so established compared to Afghanistan.
What's your question,
which
so
is
we don't keep Tom too
fragmented.
long? Yeah, that's okay.
It. That's it.
That's it.
Just
Just a
comment.
statement, not a question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer Griffin.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know who this is directed to, but I'm just wondering why people are, particularly in the mainstream media, are not making the connection that Russia is on both sides of this war. Russia is giving intel to Iran, and they are running Trump. They've been running Trump for 20 years. So the only entity that has benefited from this war is Russia. And it's every time we go back to foreign policy, it always
And Jen,
comes back
don't forget
to
the Trump family. The Trump family is benefiting from this war as well. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's what I'm saying. Trump family, Russia. So why isn't that being promoted in the media, that this family is so compromised with Russia and has been for decades?
Tom, you often write about the media.
Yeah.
You've written about this. So
First, the media is reporting on this, which is how you know about it. So, the story is out there that Russia is playing both sides of this war. I think one thing you have to be careful about that will make people kind of shut you out is when you say things like Russia is running Trump, because that gets just too close to conspiracy theorizing that Russia, that Trump's some kind of Russian agent. I think Trump's afraid of Russia. I think he's afraid of Putin. He admires him the way bullies admire bigger bullies. I think I wrote 10 years ago that I think Trump is compromised because I think he knows that the Russians know about every kind of dirty deal he might have ever done, years earlier. But I would caution about saying things like, well, they run Trump. Because then I think people will just tune you out and say, well, that's just, the idea that he's some kind of an agent. The fact that Trump, I think it's quite true, and I've written a million times, one of the few things that's a constant in Trump's foreign policy is that he's terrified of pissing off Vladimir Putin. Yeah. But I think that's for various reasons. I mean, I think, again, Putin's the big alpha dog in that relationship. And he sees himself as like he wants to be a partner with him, like us two big guys are going to run the world, but it is being reported, and but again, there's this goes back to the question about how do you talk to your friends? What do you say to people? It's just astonishing. Steve Witkoff goes on television and says, well, the Russians told me they aren't doing it, so I take them at their word. Well, that's just so inane and ridiculous. But of course,
it's ludicrous.
But he's always careful to do that on friendly media. I'd love to see him go on, some other show somewhere outside of Fox and say, well, I just take him at his word, because obviously he's been criticized for that roundly. But I think at this point, you also have to understand that everything Trump is doing is aimed at his base. Trump has no longer cares about being president of the entire United States. His goal now is to shore up his base, make sure that he doesn't take the kind of damage he's terrified he's going to take in the midterm elections. Because if the Democrats win the House, even just the House, his presidency's over, and he knows it. So that he has written off the idea that he wants to talk to anybody outside of that super deep red base.
I agree with that. Can I say one thing to Jennifer's question, though? Where I disagree with Tom is being written off because it can be viewed as conspiracy. I think what Jennifer's saying is when she says Russia runs Trump, we've seen time and time again where Trump will say one thing and then Putin gets on a phone call with him and now he changes his answer or he changes his strategy, he changes his idea. I mean, that can be viewed as running. Also, if you'd have told me 10 years ago that there was a cabal of rich billionaires around the world that were trafficking children and secretly running the world, I would have told you that borderline's all conspiracy, only to find out it's absolutely true now. We're going to Iran right now to hide it. So
let's not mix conspiracies, because I will say,
but all I'm saying
is that he also is unbelievably unctuous and solicitous when it comes to the president of China. I mean, he cannot criticize China without saying, we get along, we're friends, I love the guy, we get along. It doesn't mean China's right. The other guy that he gets on the phone with who talks a lot of stuff was Erdogan. He calls the president to any tough guy, any one.
No, I think your assessment, Tom, where you said
hang on, Jolly, hang on. I think you have to go, Tom. I understand that you got another hit, or you're good.
No, I'm good.
Okay, go ahead, Jolly. Sorry.
No, I think when you said that he's the bully who admires other bullies, that's spot on. And I think that when he has this idea in his head where him and the other bullies will run the world together, I think you're spot on there too. I've said these similar things for the last few years, so I agree with you there. But I do see where people are coming from. That it looks like Putin's calling the shots here, and I think that China's benefiting from this war as well. And I have been astonished at how many of the conspiracies have had a lot of ground in truth. Look how deep Israel is in our government. I used to write that off. People always talk about it. I used to write it off. I get that Israel has influence, but not that much. And now I'm eating crow. They have a lot more influence than even I realized. So I think there is some credence to the quote conspiracy in some of this.
I certainly think the Epstein, like that to me is this one of the big stories of the century, because that's when I would have said, well, that's probably an overblown business, and it's kind of united conspiracy theorists of the right and the left, because they were both a little bit right about what was going on. But I would be cautious about even, in this war, for example, with Israel. I think Netanyahu, these are birds of a feather. Netanyahu called him up and said, you can be the liberator of Iran. They'll build, they'll bring you flowers.
Why be cautious? Cautious of what? Cautious of what? Like, why be cautious? Like, cautious of what? Because
cautious. I didn't say cautious.
Yes. Why be cautious to tell the truth about what's actually going on? Because we're not acting like it. We're not living in the same reality. That I feel like we are.
Let him answer. Let him answer
appropriately to what's going on. So cautious of what? They fucking us up out here anyway.
Let him answer. Let him answer.
If you're trying to convince your fellow citizens to hear you, and you say, well, this is all explained because Russia runs him and China runs him, and the Jews run foreign policy. First of all, I don't think a lot of that is true. I just basically disagree with you. I think there are simpler explanations for a lot of this that have a lot to do with Donald Trump's personality and his financial interests. But also, I think it's not, you're not going to reach people that I think are reachable, who would agree with you about a lot of it and aren't going to sort of jump off that final cliff with you, as I won't.
Then how do we get them to agree with us? How? Because we're just kicking the rock down the road.
Yeah, the question that
we're not doing anything.
The question that the question that I pose to people that I think makes them stop and think is, I say, look, and I did this with I have a childhood friend who's a total Trump guy. I said to him, "Is this what you wanted?" I just let it hang there, and he, instead of hammering them, I just say, "Just tell me, is this what you wanted? Is this the world you thought? Tell me what you want. Give me, and look, the very deep red MAGA folks, they are never going to come down. They're like cats that have climbed up to the top of a tree. They're never coming down. So just let that go. Those people are never coming back. I would say 30% of the electorate. They've just, because the cognitive dissonance and the embarrassment, the humiliation of saying they were wrong is just never going to happen. But there are a lot of people in the middle who haven't paid attention to the news. I would bet you right now there are people in the United States who don't even know we're at war. So those are the folks that you might be able to reach, is all I'm saying.
Monique, go ahead. Or
Just wanted to say, Jolly, thank you for your service. Big fans of both of you, Jolly and Tom. I just discovered, outside of a lot of the independent channels that I watch, Democracy Now! On PBS. And they have really been taking a deep dive into this war. And they had a woman on there today talking about the global effects of what Trump is doing and how it is affecting women's rights around the world and the global economy. Do you all know of any media outlets other than our independent sources that are a little bit more nationwide, who are actually taking a deep dive into the global effects of everything that's going on right now?
Wow, is this just a real slow pitch that I can swing at and say you should be reading The Atlantic?
I do read The Atlantic.
Thank you. Thanks for serving up that meatball. I'll take it. You should read The Atlantic.
I just got my yearly subscription bill in the email today, Tom. So, but I've subscribed to The Atlantic for a long time, even long before the Chris Licht thing came out. You guys just do really, really great stuff. So yes, and I would say, yeah, do that. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Tom.
No, there's all, can I issue one caution though? You know, the fact that we're all here and we're all talking with Don says that you're all news junkies and people here are more informed right off the bat than, 90% of the country, because you're paying attention, you follow the news. But I would caution you against kind of poisoning yourself. Look, I'm paid to do this. I'm paid to write about this stuff. And even I just detach now and then. Even I just unplug sometimes and say, I got to go pet the cat. I got to go hang with my grandchildren. I got to do something. Hey, cat, I see one right there. Did you see? The cat heard me. So I know you're looking for good sources. I think, PBS, of course, The Atlantic. I actually think CNN and MSNBC do a great job. Maybe some programs better than others, but as long as you're not going over to Fox and Newsmax and kind of those outlets, you'll probably be all right. But I would say kind of treat information almost like food, that a balanced diet and not too much overload, because it's going to burn you out. I mean, this happened during the first Trump term, and I would warn about it again, that give yourself a little time away from this stuff too, because that'll leave you time for other things. There are times that I just can't, I'm speaking for myself here. There are times that I just say, I just have to turn things off for a while.
Yeah.
So
I've got
those good sources, but don't forget to detach and take care of yourself.
Stand by, everyone. Thank you. I got to get a word in from our sponsors. Tom, if you want to stay, fine. If you have to go, we certainly understand. Jolly, same thing. But thank you. Give me 2 minutes, because this episode of the Don Lemon Show is brought to you by Graza, makers of incredibly fresh olive oil. Now, if you've watched the show or you followed me for a while, you know that I cook a lot and I love hosting dinners with friends. And, good olive oil is one of those those ingredients that you really need to reach. And I reach for that constantly. So that's why I like Graza. Their olive oil is always fresh, never blended, made from high quality olives, and they even print the harvest date right on the bottle, which you almost never see with olive oil. They've got sizzle, and that's perfect for everyday cooking, like sauteing and vegetables and roasting chicken and marinating, all of that. And then there's drizzle, which is a finishing oil. It is a bold and flavorful addition to your meal, perfect on salads, over pasta, or honestly just dipping bread when you've got a good company coming over, okay? And if you cook with high heat, they've got Frizzle. It's designed specifically for frying and grilling. So, plus Graza just launched olive oil-based mayo. Can you believe that? And garlic aioli as well, available in stores. So if you want olive oil that actually tastes like olive oils and makes everything that actually tastes like olives, I should say, and makes everything in your kitchen better, give Graza a try. Head over to graza.co and use the code LEMON to get 20% off of your first order. That's graza.co, and the code is LEMON. Biooptimizers, have you ever heard about them? So I want to tell you about something about bio-optimizers. And I want to thank them for their support of the show. I've started adding it to my nighttime routine. I was telling my team just before, like, I've been getting, like, for the last couple of nights, it took a while to kick in, but for the last couple of nights, I've gotten some really great sleep. It's called Magnesium Breakthrough. Now, most magnesium supplements only contain 1 or 2 types of magnesium, but Magnesium Breakthrough combines 7 different forms along with cofactors to help your body actually absorb and use it. So I kept hearing people talk about it, better sleep, feeling calmer, faster workout recovery, even better digestion. So I finally decided to try it for myself. And I like to tell the truth on my show, and I don't recommend something unless I'm willing to try it. So here's what I'm doing. I'm taking it at night, and I'm tracking how I sleep and how I feel the next day, more rested, clearer, calmer. And I want to see the difference for myself. And you can do it with me, okay? And the good thing is that there's zero risk. BioOptimizers offers 365-day money-back guarantee. That is a full year. So if better sleep is something that you've been chasing, like a lot of people I know, this might be worth trying, okay? Go to biooptimizers.com/DonLemon and use the code DON15 to get 15% off of any order. Make 2026 the year that you finally start sleeping again. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Okay, we are back. I don't know who's here with me and who's not. Oh, they're here.
I'll give you a 2-minute warning. I'm hanging in front of the 2, and then I gotta fly.
Okay, let's see who we got. Tom, thank you. We are always so generous with your time. Keisha.
At least you get thanked, Tom.
Yes.
Keisha, you there?
Yes. Hi, Jolly. Hi, Tom. Between Trump and Hegseth and even Rubio, they make our military look like it's led by dishonest, heartless, incompetent people. And I'm wondering what you think the long-term damage will be to enlistment in the military when people see that these are the kinds of leaders we have, and they're destroying it from the inside.
It's a very good question.
That's an amazing question. Thank you for asking it, and I would love to answer it as a veteran. So I said this about a year ago, and I want to reiterate it now. Everything that they're doing is going to affect retention of those who are already in, and affect recruitment of those who maybe plan to join. First of all, the nitty-gritty of recruitment to the military, and I've said it before, is they're going to target the underprivileged communities, impoverished communities. That's how they offer you things your country can't. They give you healthcare, housing, income, life insurance, lots of things you'll never get as a poor person in America. And that's called socialism, as long as you go and agree to die to defend capitalism. But here's the problem. That whole thing breaks down. When the blatant misuse of the military occurs. No, you don't have to be super in tune with geopolitics. You don't have to be super educated on, how we got here or what any of this really means to blatantly see this is misuse of the military. To see that they're changing their objective every day. All you have to do is pay attention for more than 24 hours, and you'll hear a different answer. And what's going to happen is people that thought about joining the military are going to take a pause and say, hey, they're going to misuse me that way. And then, oh, by the way, they're cutting VA benefits. They're cutting disability right now, actively happening. Lots of veterans are talking out about it. So they'll misuse you when you're in and then discard you when you're out. How in the world is that going to, just like when they deployed the Guard, deploying the Guard and using them for political theater and posturing the military against the American people, which is why we have posse comitatus and other laws like that, because you should never use the military as a police force for that very reason. It compromises the social agreement between and the American people, and that's going to hurt recruitment.
Thank you, Jolly. No mean to cut you off. Tom, you have any final words?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little concerned about the moral rot of the Republican Party making its way into the military, because my experience, I taught military officers for 25 years, and my experience is they are really good. They have a really high immune system against this kind of partisanship. But this is the first time a president and a secretary of defense have really reached out to the military and said, be partisan, You're not defending them. You're defending my America. You're defending real America. And I think that message probably appalls a lot of people in the military, but there are probably people who, gravitate toward that message. And, I think that kind of moral and civic rot can make its way from a political party into the military. And that's what I really worry about. I mean, a year ago, I wrote a piece about George Washington and establishing the military and how he, it deeply felt that you were a citizen above all else. He said, there's a famous line in a letter where he says, when we took up the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen. And I think that these are people who say, lay aside the citizen, just be our kind of Roman guard, and be our personal force. And I think that's what Donald Trump wants. I think he tried to do it with the military, like Jolly said about putting people in the streets with the guard. I think he's trying to do it with ICE to create that as a paramilitary force. So my concern is not just about recruitment and retention, but sort of this kind of rot making its way into the military ethos. And you have to run away.
Thank you, Tom. Say hi to Lily for us.
Will do. She was around here somewhere. I was hoping she'd make an appearance, but I'll see you all. Take care.
Hey, nice to meet you, Tom.
Nichols. Check out his work at the Atlantic. I'm going to bring it again, guys. One sentence question please. This is a lightning round.
But he's right about that rot, though. He's right about that.
Yeah,
that needs to be talked about more at some point.
Maureen, what you got? Make sure you're unmuted. I think we can hear you, Maureen. No,
ma'am.
Okay, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Now we can.
Yeah.
Just a real simple question. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
I have a question about Hegseth. I've been reading a lot of stuff about him lately. He certainly isn't qualified for the role he's in, and he and Trump don't seem to be communicating very well. How do you feel about that, Jolly?
So I think, first of all, it's worth, every time we mention Pete Hegseth, I have to mention he's the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in American history since the position was created. And I think that, to your question, a lot of that plays into this Trump-Hegseth relationship. Trump hired him because he's loyal. Trump hired him because he said the strong, brave, blusterous things that Trump wanted to hear. We have a military and we're lethal and we're war fighters and woke has infected our military. These were the things that Hegseth believed Hegseth said. So that's what he brought to Trump, and Trump liked it. I think what you're seeing when it looks like they're not communicating well, because Trump will say one thing, then Hegseth will say another thing. I think the reason for that is, number one, Trump doesn't remember what he said yesterday. And number two, Trump blows with the wind like that. Trump is as disingenuous, as fake as anybody you're going to meet.
And Charlie, I'm going to do the same thing with the legends. Quick answer, please.
Okay, one thing he does is he says something he believes now, but once he sees that's unpopular or something disagrees with that, or that's not right, or maybe he lost some polls in the point, he'll say another thing, and it completely contradicts what he just said. It's Trump.
Andrea Pinkney.
Hi, Don. Hi, Jolly.
Hi.
We've had the No Kings protest. We've boycotted Target. We've called our Congress people. What do you recommend we do to get some results to get rid of Trump? I mean, he just continues to do things to destroy our country, and it seems like we have no recourse. And my condolences to the fallen soldiers and their families.
Amen.
Excellent question, in my opinion. 3.5%. Studies show it takes 3.5% of a population to literally shut the system. The 3.5% has to start a sustained movement. Sustained means not one day. I love No Kings, but that's one day. It has to be a sustained movement where we stop participating in the economic and governmental systems that hold the entire thing in place. And if 10 million people in America simultaneously do that, we shut the system down. I argue we have plenty of more than that are willing to do it. And until we do, nothing changes.
Jennifer E.
Okay, everybody. Thank you. Jolly, I totally agree. with everything that you said. My question is, it's actually a two-parter, but it's a one question. Why isn't
All right.
the idiot being impeached? Number one. And number two, why isn't the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu arrested?
I love that. Two questions, very concise. All right, Jennifer E. That's amazing. Thank you.
My answer is simple. Number one, Congress doesn't have a backbone. They're feckless. They're spineless. They've ceded their power to the president. They don't listen. Have you ever noticed that every single time there's a critical vote and Democrats are like, we're holding the line, there's always just enough Democrats to make sure the vote passes, right?
They're cowards.
Yeah, they're cowards. So the answer to the first one is, why hasn't the president been impeached? Congress are cowards. The answer number two is, why hasn't Benjamin Netanyahu been arrested? Congress are cowards.
Sandra.
Hi, I just wanted to, I don't have a question. I just wanted to make a comment with, go back to Jennifer that I agree. China and Russia are very much involved in this, but I just want to comment that I think that everyone's mind is set on that. And it's a dangerous time because most of our country doesn't feel anything unless it's happening to them. So China, Russia, all these things will happen. All this chaos will occur. This is an international grift. Everybody with money is in on it. And I'm sorry, but that movie Mountainhead that I saw just reminds me of what I'm looking at. All these countries with money and power, they're all in bed with each other. You see that in the Epstein files. And of course, I want to say again, Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. But the truth of the matter is that this game is being played out in front of us. And what you're seeing, people not doing what they're supposed to do to fix it, is by design. It's by design. We've done everything. We're speaking. Everyone's giving out information. Everyone's talking, but nothing's happening. So what is that saying to us? What's that saying is that this grift is happening, and there's not much unless we get out on the streets and it gets ugly. Is this going to change? So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, well, and that may have to happen, but I also think, I hate it. It sounds like a cliche. You got to get out and vote. Elections have consequences. Those are two cliches, but they do. And I think people realize that now. And I think that Donald Trump and the Republicans are going to try, not that they might try, they're going to try to steal the election. He's going to try to do some sort of emergency or something that's never been done in order to stay in power, because even if he's not president, he'll try to be president. But even if he's not, he's still going to try to be the guy behind the curtains or the pulling the strings, the puppet strings. So the puppeteer. So I think the best thing to do is get out and amongst people. Start registering some people. Start talking to people who are not engaged. Talk to some young men, some young women, some whoever it is. Are you going to vote? Does your identification match? Do you have a social security card or whatever it is that it takes to vote? Because they're going to try something. I know they're saying now that the SAVE Act is not going to pass. Lisa Murkowski's not going to vote for it, but I'm telling you, it's coming. And I think that we have to be involved, like we are all here talking and being engaged. You have to go and recruit other people into the conversation and to motivate them to get out and vote. May money into building.
They're gonna do it, you guys. They're going to do it. What are we gonna do to stop it? Okay, I don't need my tarot cards to let you know that they're gonna try to pull some bullshit in November. We need to have the election next week. Okay, that's what we need to do. Fuck November. Let's do it now. Okay, if you running for president, you better get your ass up there on that stage and run for president tomorrow. Okay, like for real, because this needs to stop. And honestly, that's not, I've been trying to say, I wrote down notes, but I really want to apologize to Tom. I wasn't trying to like attack him or anything. I
think Tom is totally fine.
I was just so fucking, I'm just so irritated with this shit. I cannot stand this anymore. This is fucked up, man. This is so fucked up. I don't want to live this life no more. I don't like this. This is terrible. Can we please fucking stop? And Jolly, bruh, I've been trying to say hello to you all. Like, bruh, every time I crack a Modelo, I think of you, bro.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, I always cheers you. I always cheers you like through the universe. I hope that you hear me. Anytime I crack a Modelo, I'm with you. I knew
I
you
appreciate
before
that.
Don knew you. Actually, I've been following you for a long time.
I appreciate your
You
But
was a
Jolly,
real one,
my
bro,
my,
for
my
real. And
question
I
to
absolutely love you.
my
appreciate you.
question to you two is: it Modelo or is it Peroni? Come on now,
It's
there's nothing
Modelo.
like a
I like Peroni too.
Peroni.
I ain't no
Peroni
hater.
actually is a good beer. I agree. Whenever there's no
Yeah,
Modelo, especially if I'm in New
But we
York,
don't. They're
I'll
not
drink
really
one.
around like that though, Don.
Correct.
At least not in
yeah,
California. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
when you
All
got
right,
Yeah. We
Don
don't.
money and you can just
It's a
drink
rare
Peroni around
time
the
if you can
country.
grab a Peroni in California.
all right,
Anyway,
all right.
but
Thank you,
I just
guys.
wanted to
Democracy
say, like,
Jesus. Oh, sorry, I thought
I
you were
just
done.
wanted to say, no,
We said
one more thing.
one sentence question. May Money. Go on.
Oh, it was okay. I don't know why you went around messing with these people because you guys know that quote from Friday when dude got knocked out and then he was like, "Oh, you want some, old man?" He was like, "No." I don't know, that whole scene in Friday. That's what we are doing with Iran right now. But also, can we please remember that we still have war on our streets. People are still getting deported. People are still getting dragged out of their cars and kidnapped and all sorts of bullshit. Like, that stuff has not ended. Just because we have a war over our shores doesn't mean that the stuff on our own shores has stopped. And so we still need to think about that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so please don't forget that we are fighting a war here on our own lands.
Boom.
Like,
Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
Thank
facts
you.
right there. That's facts.
Um,
That's facts.
Democracy Jesus.
Democracy, Jesus.
Hey, Don. Hey, John.
We love Democracy Jesus. Democracy
Jolly,
Jesus has that
Love
fresh
you.
French press and that
Yeah.
blowout.
Try to keep up with Kamala. Try to keep up with Kamala, honey. Anyway, Jolly, we have met. It's pretty significant and spectacular that you are on today. 1 year ago today, on 3/14/25, we stood on the Capitol grounds from my event called Now DC. I was the developer and creator. I did that with Cliff Cash and a few other people. You spoke there. That was 1 year ago today.
That's dope.
So reflecting on that, right? And I put a picture in the chat. I don't know if the producers have got it, but and I didn't really get to meet you that day because I was behind the scenes doing
Right.
everything that I could to make the event go off. But I mean, you were there. We were saying this stuff a year ago, like we were saying this stuff. There were thousands of veterans there. Veterans came up to me afterwards in tears. I'm not even worthy to be talking as compared to your service and what you've given and what you've sacrificed. People were distraught then. My question for you, and just being in that part of it, in that organizing on the ground, I know you've been in DC, hitting it for the last year since then. To me, everything that I see little to no change, because then we were talking about this, the 14th Amendment, Section 3.
Right.
What do you want to
about how
ask
he
him? What
was
do you want to
being
ask him?
right? I
What do
want
you
to
wanna ask him?
know if what he thinks is different now, because we were
Honestly,
talking about them going now. They all get to go now. They're further in now, and elections. Come on. Yeah.
No. First of all, I'm glad you brought that up because we did have this conversation 1 year ago today in Washington, D.C. And there's a lot of things that was said then that the people who don't agree with us said, you're being ridiculous. You're being hyperbolic. You're being this. You're being that. That's never going to happen. At that rally on 3/14, we talked about how they're going to come for VA benefits. At that rally on 3/14, we talked about how they're going to purge the ranks. At that rally on 3/14, we talked about how if you don't agree with the administration, you're going to have to get out, and how we're going to lose good people and good officers because only the bad ones will stay. And now we're seeing all that come to fruition. We're seeing people who are not re-enlisting, they don't agree with where the direction this is going. As Tom mentioned, you see the partisanship entering the ranks, and that's bad. That's causing retention to go down, recruitment to go down. You're seeing VA benefits getting attacked. You're seeing a lot of the stuff. And if you go back and watch the videos of myself and others who spoke that day, you'll see the coming of fruition to a lot of the things we talked about. So what's changed, honestly, is it's gotten worse, and they're not hiding it anymore. They're not even trying to hide it. They're not even trying to disagree. They're just saying, yeah, we're doing it. And then what are you going to do about it? That's kind of their approach. We're doing it. What are you going to do about it? And it's disgusting. And it goes back to my earlier answer. If we don't get up and get outside and shut this shit down, it's going to continue.
All right.
Exactly, Dolly. Exactly.
Let's see. Wait, where is, I'm trying to get the name right because I don't want to screw it up. It is Rebel Scum.
You got it. Thank you. Hi, Jolly. Nice to finally meet you. My question is about they're saying that Iran is gonna, do some bombings on California, and is it possible this is a false flag coming from the FBI so that that Trump will be able to, declare a state of emergency, whether it happens or not, and if it happens from us or not?
Fully opinion based here. Obviously, this is my opinion. I have no solid facts to make it up. We just saw a report come out from the Army that 2 drones were stolen from a military base. I don't know if you guys saw that, but 2 drones were stolen. Actually, I think it was 4 drones were stolen. It was 2 people that allegedly did it. They were in a mask, had to them. Now, all of a sudden, you're hearing these reports of potential attacks on California. Listen, I actually don't believe that false flag attacks happen as commonly as
just passed.
drones were stolen.
Go ahead, Jolly. Sorry, I don't know what happened, but Jolly, I gotta run. It's 6:30, and I gotta get.
It's Don's run. For guys, if you don't know, Don runs every day. He does a 5-mile run around this time of day. I don't think false flags are real as commonly as people think they do, but this is one of the times in history where I would not put it past this administration. I think.
All right, quick question, Lori King.
Jolly.
Don runs 5 miles in his Don Lemon hat.
I just have a quick, really a comment. Jolly, keep up the great work. I really love your show. I think that you're amazing, and keep fighting for veterans, keep fighting for the country. I wish.
Yes, Jolly.
Yeah, I have a father who is a retired school teacher, taught history, and you remind me so much of him, just being very honest, upfront, and that's what my dad has done. He's taught real history, not what MAGA wants you to learn.
Right.
So keep the fight going, man.
Appreciate you saying that.
Jolly, we're very proud of you. We love you. You're the best.
We
Keep it up.
love
Thank
you, Jolly. No, Phil,
Thank you,
come kick it with
legends.
us again. Come on our show again. Hang out with us, dude.
Thank
John,
you, Jolly.
enjoy your
We gotta announce something, Jolly, but we'll wait for that. Jolly Good Ginger, everybody, go check him out. Jolly Good Ginger Show on YouTube and on all of his socials. Thank you, legends. Thanks, everyone.
Love you, Jolly.
All right.
Thank you,
I'll
Jolly.
see you guys
Thank you,
next
Don.
week.
Thanks, Don.
So if you want to know anything, bye. Love you, legends. If you want to know anything about the Don Lemon Show, go to donlemon.com. As you know, you can find anything, how to become a member on all of our platforms. Also, our merch store is there. Become a member, subscribe on everything, okay? And I will say this. It's been one hell of a week, but it's been informative. If you watch this show this week, you got information, and you got it in a way without the artifice and without all the things that's blocking you, whatever. It's just really, I like the organic, laid back nature of this channel. So be informed without being inundated until I see you back here on Monday morning. Remember, we drop some stuff. Check out our stuff on 2 p.m. on Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, 2 p.m. on Sunday as well, where we talk about what's happened in the week prior and then the week to come. Okay? So until I see you back here live, unless something breaking happens, on Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time for Hot Topics, turn the TV off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.